Hey my friends, it's Big Stu here. Thanks for hanging out with me once again for, I guess we're not really opening anything, unboxing, but this is our volume 2 of Comics and Pop. And it's a new, new videos that we're doing. So this is volume 2 of it. We will be looking at some Funko stuff that I got, Pops, and this is not a pop obviously, but it's done by Funko. And then I have some Pops, and then I want to talk to you about the X-Men book, House of X and Powers of X, and also Batman, the City of Bane. And we're going to get into it right now. So let's move all this stuff for a moment and discuss it. And we'll move this over. So, but anyways, okay, let's do with the comics first. This is late Sunday night. I have been having some technical issues, and so hopefully this will work. I've been trying to edit my video down and talk much faster, so I apologize now if I talk faster. No new t-shirt, Ghostbusters t-shirt from Nerd Block, I think, a long time ago. Could have been Loot Crate, but I think for some reason it's Nerd Block. But again, I could be wrong. It's one or the other. So they're both going to be extinct soon anyways, or at least Loot Crate is, I think, unfortunately. But anyways, I'm Big Stu. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll try to keep this video as fast as possible because I talk too much sometimes. So I talk way too much. And anyway, so let's first get into the Marvel book X-Men. So we know that they've been relaunching the X-Men book with Jonathan Hickman. And this is a whole new dynamic of the X-Men book. All of a sudden now, we have two miniseries. They're both 6 issues. One is called House of X, and the other one is called Powers of X. And so this is Powers of X. This is also issue number 2 of Powers of X. And we've gotten also a 3rd issue. That's Batman, wrong one. And so a 3rd issue, I don't have it with me, of Powers of X. And then we've only had 2 issues of the House of X. That's issue 1 and issue 2. So they both come out. It's been 5 weeks now since it began. You had, it's been alternating back and forth, comes out weekly a new X-Men book. And it's going to be a total of 12 weeks because there's 6 issues in the line. 6 issues of House of X, 6 issues of Powers of X. Or you can say Power of 10. Because that is the theme that's in that book. I will explain that in a minute. Anyways, so they released House of X number 1. Then they went to Powers of X number 1. Then they went back to House of X number 2. Then they went to Powers of X number 2. And then Powers of X number 3. And then next week will be House of X number 3 and House of X number 4. Then after that, it's going to just go back and forth between the 2 issues. Something to do with the storyline, something to maybe help with the writers. I mean, not the writers, same writer, Jonathan Hickman, but the artists or whatever. I don't know why they kind of did that in the middle there, or it's part of the storyline possibly. And I'll explain that too. House of X stuff is what's going on currently with the X-Men now. They're acting a little different. They're living on an island, Kuroka, I think it is, Kuroka, and originally a giant-sized X-Men. When they introduced the X-Men, that was a mutant island, and it was a villain, and they battled it, defeated it. In this version, the island is working with them. They're living on the island. Everything's very organic, plant-based, with technology mixed into it, and they're traveling through portals created with the island all over the place to their different embassies, and they have all this plant life, all this growth, trees and flowers and strange floral type of stuff all around their buildings and so forth, and they're traveling through gateways that way. And all the mutants are working together. Magneto's working with them and so forth. And so, which is odd that they're all kind of cohabitating and not fighting each other. They basically tell the humans, leave us alone. We're a nation now. We have rights to our embassies. Don't mess with any mutants. We don't want to fight you, but we can destroy you. We are your superior, but we're not going to live dominance over you, basically. Just don't mess with us. We're not fearful of you anymore, type of thing. And then they offer them as a peace offering. We have these meds that were made, I guess, through the plant type of a thing, herbals. And this will give you, extend your life by 5 years. This will make you a little smarter. This will help your health and so forth. And so it's like 3 pills that would do like, a pill that would do like 3 things for them. And so they're making that available to the world as a peace offering. Leave us alone, respect us type of thing. So they're a little bit militant to some extent. They will defend themselves, but they're not going after anything right now. So that's basically what's going on. But it's a very unique take and style of the characters a little bit. And they're changing things up a little bit. It's still early on the series. You don't know yet how different things are. But anyways, over in Powers of X, they're doing a time jump. You got 4 different timelines, 4 different chapters in that book. And you have year 1, which is the formation of the X-Men. So it's a backstory, the beginning of it. So far, it's just been Professor Xavier coming up with a dream of forming the X-Men and discussing it. He has yet to recruit anybody. So I guess we're going to get an origin story through the miniseries, talking about the formation to some extent, maybe planting seeds for future stories that started, in the past or whatever. He has interacted with a character named Moira McTaggart, and we will discuss her in a few minutes. And that's in the past. So they call that, year 1. And then it goes to year 10. And year 10 is what is currently in the Marvel Universe. The X-Men have been together for 10 years. And this is what's going on also in House of X. So year 10 of Powers of X in that chapter goes perfectly with the House of X, what's going on with that. Continues that storyline. And then they jump to year 100, which deals with a few of the X-Men around, with some new characters, some children, grandchildren of older familiar X-Men characters. And in that team, you have Magneto, who's still around. You have Zorn. You have Wolverine. You have Apocalypse, who's usually a villain, working with them. And they're trying to fight Nimrod, which is a machine that wants to destroy all humanity. Kind of like a Terminator type of a thing. And so they're battling him in year 100. So that would be obviously 90 years from what is currently going on in the X-Men world. And then you jump also to year 1000. And that's really a different world, a lot of technology, no characters that you're familiar with at all new characters that are introducing. And the world's trying to get the attention of a celestial creature being. And it shows up and is the Phalanx. And the Phalanx are creatures who they battled in the past. And they were basically kind of like the Star Trek has the Borg, who would like simulate people in one hive mind and turn you basically into robots type of thing. And that's what the Phalanx did. And they would go sweep across the universe and take over, planets, and then get bigger and move on type of thing, like a swarm of, I guess you'd say, like technological locusts or something. And so they battled them. So apparently they've come to Earth way far in the future, and Earth wants to request ascension to maybe move up and join them. I don't know, or be taken over by the Hive. It's still early to tell. And I'm not really so connected as far as year 1000. I'm very disconnected from the story, from the character so far. And maybe there'll be some interest down the road on my end. But I really am interested in the Nimrod in year 100. And definitely what's going on in year 10, which is the current going on. We do find out, to go back to Moira McTaggart, we do find out that Moira McTaggart, her past is that she's a human who's been a friend to Xavier and to the X-Men. She's a scientist. She has been either married or with an X-Men character named Banshee, a Scottish guy who is in green and yellow, who flies and who can give out a Banshee sonic kind of a cry, kind of like DC's Black Canary kind of a thing. And he has a daughter named Siren who can do the same thing. And but anyway, so they've been like married, lovers, or whatever all these years. But years back, her and Professor Xavier had a relationship, and they had a son by the name of Legion. So Legion has his own show on FX, He's like a powerful, crazy, schizophrenic type of mutant. Anyways, but you find out that Mora is actually a mutant. Nobody knew it. And Mora's unique gift as a mutant is she'll live her life and then she'll die. Natural causes, she's murdered or whatever. And then the whole world starts over with her again. She gets a redo, a Groundhog Day, I guess you'd say, or Groundhog Life. But she has all of her previous memories. When she dies, she wakes up, she's in the womb of her mother, but she has all the memories in her mind of her whole life before that. So she is reincarnated basically in her same body, grows up as a child and everything with the memories. And so she has had all these lives, and they go through some of the lives that she's had. She's first teamed up with Xavier, married him, and tried to protect the mutants by living Xavier's dream. It ended badly. She died, and then she ends up next life joining Magneto and being part of the Brotherhood and being militant, attacking humans and trying to rule the humans. That failed. She ends up joining Apocalypse, becomes one of his horsemen in one life. That ends up failing. She's tried these different things. I think Jonathan Hickman is also using this. X-Men has had these problems of relaunches with many artists and writers over the years. They haven't been successful since the early, Chris Claremont and John Byrne and Terry Austin run, which I knew from the 80s. And then they had probably a Grant Morrison run that was pretty big in the early 2000s. And that was a big run for them. But since then, there really hasn't been a long, consistent run on the X-Men. They've constantly been trying to restart it, try to get some of that magic back again. And every few years, there seems to be another relaunch to the X-Men. And that's been a big issue. In the last 5 years, I think there's been about 3 launches. And so finally, Hickman is using Mora's lives redos as some of those past relaunches that we have seen and come and gone. Those are some of Mora's Taggart's lives that's come and failed. Well, she is in right now life number 10, and she's been informed that she either has 10 or 11 lives possibly, and then it's over for her. We don't know that. It's just been the suggestion, and she doesn't really know that. Well, she's doing things different, and that's why the X-Men are acting a little different. She decided when she woke up her life number 10 that she was going to share all this knowledge with Xavier. He was going to share all this knowledge with Magneto, and they were going to work together from the beginning, and they're going to try to protect mutants and humanity also, but primarily mutants. And so that's why everything is so different the way it is now, because we are in Mora's 10th life. Now, we jump over to Powers of X, and we're dealing a lot with 100 years. 100 years, Nimrod has won, basically, taken over the world with his technology, robots, and so forth. And so they're on a mission in issue 3 of Powers of X. They're on a mission to try to find out when Nimrod went online years and years and years back, which I'm assuming is going to be around the current day of the X-Men. So they've gone back in time, or they've gotten the knowledge for that. In the future, Mora gets the knowledge, gets downloaded to her, Wolverine kills her. So she can restart with that knowledge and take Nimrod out before he even can destroy the world in year 100. And so that was her, you just discovered that was her life number 9, her previous life. So what we're seeing in 100 story is actually her end of her life of 9, life 9. But what's going on now is life 10, and she's trying to correct all these mistakes with all this knowledge, know what's going to happen here and there, and chart a whole new path for the X-Men and their future. So whether this will help change year 1000, we really don't know. But it's a very interesting concept, very ambitious. I hope it works. At the very least, it's very exciting and very different for the X-Men. So that's coming out weekly. I will continue to update it as we go along. I'm talking way long because it's a lot of information. I apologize. Batman's going on City of Bane. Bane has taken over over Gotham. He's beaten Batman, and he and he's basically taken the city hostage, and he's told Batman, he's wounded Batman, beaten Batman, and he's basically told him, any of the Batman family comes back into Gotham, the Robins, Batgirl, Nightwing, whoever, Alfred will die. He is, held hostage. And so, anyways, so Batman has hooked up with Catwoman, and she is nursing his wounds and getting him, ready for a battle, basically. And in the city of Gotham, Bane is using Psycho Pirate. This is a character who's always been kind of lame to me in the past, but he can control people through their emotions and brainwash people, basically. And so he is working for Bane, and he's taken most of the villains, and he has made them civil servants. They're on the police force, they're doing this, and they're not like robbing people, they're not killing people, they're not acting like villains, and they're help keeping order to the city. Of course, the regular people in the city are downright terrified, fearful. There's zero tolerance for crime, you're killed, type of a thing, and there's a curfew at night. So Gotham has never been at peace to some extent, but of course tensions are building and people are just in a panic and scared type of a thing. So it's not a real peace, but it just, the crime rate is down because they've killed people, and other people have learned their lesson and stayed home, obviously. So Batman is getting better and better, and he's working. Maybe the next issue, you got the idea he's going to come back to try to start fighting back. In the meantime, the latest issue that came out this week, 77, and it just sold out everywhere. So if you didn't subscribe, it'd been really hard to get the book. The book, I think, is already going for like $30 in the last 3 days. And it might even go up more. Robin, Damian, Batman's son, decides to go into Gotham, check it out. He fights Gotham Girl, who's become the new Robin, and the new Batman running around is Bruce Wayne's father from a different timeline. When they created Flashpoint, there was a different timeline created, and that's what kicked off the new universe. Originally, there was a miniseries called Flashpoint, if you don't know, and there was also a DC cartoon based off of it. And what had happened was, Flash tried to go back in time and save his mom from dying. When he did, he changed all of reality when he saved her. And so it tweaked and changed all the heroes, a lot of the villains. And instead of Batman's mom and dad dying when he was a kid in that alley, a crime alley, what happened was Bruce Wayne, young Bruce Wayne, died. His father, Thomas Wayne, became a Batman, kind of like a Punisher, had a gun, and was a vigilante. And his mom became like that world's Joker. She went crazy and mad. She would kidnap children and kill children. And ultimately, by the end of that season, of that miniseries, Thomas Wayne had to kill Martha Wayne, his wife, because of her madness and battling her to try to save. Anyways, Flash leaves that world, resets it to the New 52. So that world is erased from existence, and a New 52 is created, they called it, and that's what revamped the whole DC universe as a launching point. Everything went to a new number one, and they modernized and changed a lot of the characters around. And because of what came out of Flashpoint. But they've had other little miniseries and different things go on. Several years later now, this guy has shown up, and he calls himself Bruce's father, even though it's from a different timeline. And he's interacted with Bruce several times, and he's fought his son, and he's trying to give him tough love. He claims that his son is not the complete Batman that he needs to be. He doesn't have he's not letting himself be happy, have a life, appreciate his humanity side. And so he wants him to embrace that more. He's kind of ambiguous about it. And so he's been kind of more of an adversary and nemesis to Batman. And is a very weird. And it's weird how he survived and he moved into this. It hasn't really been explained. But anyways, he's working with Bane to help change his son. And and that is his thing. Whether he's going to eventually betray Bane, we don't know. But currently he's running around as the Batman with this girl who's like a superpower girl named Gotham Girl. And she's become the new Robin with him patrolling the streets, but there's really no crime. Damian comes across him. She's basically a Supergirl type, and he's really smart. He outwits her and beats her. And then he ends up confronting his grandfather, which is funny because he calls him Damien his grandson, even though different timeline and everything. And he beats him. I mean, beats him. I mean, viciously kicks him in the head and just totally beats him. Captures Damien, takes him to the Wayne Manor, and he has him tied up. You're thinking he's going to kill Damien, teach him a lesson. And he talks about how he needs to learn a lesson. He's disrespectful, and he doesn't respect authority. He's basically a punk, and all that type of stuff. Sorry. And then you see off camera or off panel, you just read the bubbles of words that says, please, please don't do it, not in front of the boy, something like that. And you turn the next page, and it's Alfred all tied up, sitting across from Damien in a chair, all tied up. And then they basically tell him, you need to learn this lesson. And Bane comes up and snaps the neck of Alfred and kills Alfred. So the high demand for the book is because Alfred dies. DC might relaunch down the road, and when they usually do, they bring new characters back from the dead and all that. So Alfred eventually probably will come back from the dead. But now, during this timeline, the storyline, Alfred is going to be dead, and I'm sure they're going to deal with the repercussions, because Alfred is really a father figure to Bruce Wayne in that world. And Damien's going to obviously feel extremely guilty for causing the death of Alfred in his own mind, of course, even though Bane did it. So that's what's going on. City of Bane's at issue 77. It comes out twice a month. The Batman book does. Tom King is the writer, and he is leaving the book on issue 82 or 83. I think it's 83. And then he's going to relaunch a new Batman book called Batman and Catwoman with them together. We don't know if they're going to be in Gotham, they're going to be traveling the world together, whatever. Rumors are that they're going to get married, possibly, at the end of the City of Bane storyline. And that will lead to them being married in their series. Anyways, so that's an up-to-date on that. Batman issue 50 was going to be a wedding of Batman and Catwoman. And then Bane kind of manipulated things and gave doubt to Catwoman through a friend of hers. And they ended up calling it off. And Catwoman felt like Gotham needed Batman. And he couldn't be the Batman if he was married and worried about her that he needs to be. So she kind of called it off. And then he realized he needed to call it off too, because he couldn't be the same Batman also. But you find out at the end of that storyline that Bane had manipulated all this, their breakup basically. And by using a confident, a friend of Catwoman who kind of planted all these seeds of doubt in Catwoman about the marriage. That kind of set everything in motion. So they've been playing, Tom King's been playing Bane, making him an A-list villain instead of a C-list villain. And he's not using the venom anymore, that dumbed him down. He's just built big, and he has strength from the effects of using the venom all these years. And so they're making him very strategic, and he's trying to be better than Batman and more vicious, obviously, but trying to prove that he can clean up Gotham, be better than Batman. So it's an interesting dynamic. I'm not that big, fan of Bane. The story seems interesting. We've had villains take it over before. Bane obviously took it over in the movie, the last Batman movie. So we'll just kind of see the Christopher Nolan run of Batman. And so we'll kind of see how that happens. So I've already gone kind of long, so I'm going to go kind of fast here. I know it's a lot of detail. As we continue telling you about the story, I'm not going to tell you more about the back stuff. Same thing with the X-Men and the Batman. We'll just kind of continue forward on it. I will be trying to talk every few weeks about other comics too, besides just X-Men and Batman. But these are the two I'm reading right now, most excited about that's going on. Did pick this up from my comic shop, and it's kind of like a plush character. And obviously it's Captain America. The only thing hard is the shield, and the rest is just like not quite a beanie, but it's like a little small stuffed animal, and or stuff, Captain America, not an animal. But these normally go for like $20, $25, and so they had a bunch of these. He got some Spider-Mans and a Captain America, and I picked this up for $5, so I could not lose at that price. So I definitely got a great value on this. If they have another one next week, I'll pick another one up for my classroom. But this I added to my collection. I have a Batman. The very first one they made of this was Batman. You can see the number 14 on here. The first one is Batman. Then number 11 was Rocket Raccoon. And my Spider-Man is somewhere, and I don't know where my Spider-Man is right now. I'm looking for it. And I don't remember what number my Spider-Man is. But I also have a Spider-Man one of this. So, but anyways, but that price I went ahead and picked it up. It's pretty cool. Like Captain America anyways. I did pick this up from Walmart. This came out a few months ago when Endgame came out. It was an exclusive Rocket Raccoon. Excuse me, I'm coughing. And that's from his Quantum Time Travel suit. I usually buy anything with Rocket Raccoon anyways. I have a lot of variations of Rocket Raccoon. He's one of my favorite characters. Also picked up from the Jim Lee collection. I've been trying to get these. I've gotten the Superman, the Batman, and the Catwoman so far. I've shared those in other videos. And this is the Aquaman with a Parademon from Darkseid's Minions from his army. And it's based off this artwork by Jim Lee. So it's part of the Jim Lee, obviously, the Jim Lee collection. So we got that. And then I got, just came out, was the Wonder Woman. And it's really cool, her hair, and she's got a lasso and a shield, and it's based off of cover 2. Jim Lee in the New 52, he was the artist of the Justice League, and in that version of the Justice League, they formed and became a team battling Darkseid's when he tried to invade the world. And they've created Pops, the Catwoman, and the Batman were, I think, based off the Hush series, and that was a Batman series that he drew, Jim Lee drew, and so he's got some Pops based off that, and some Pops based off his Justice League work, and that's all part of the Jim Lee collection. So there's still 3 more out that I haven't picked up yet. Flash has just come out, or is about to come out, and I'm gonna pick that one up. And then there's also a Joker I haven't gotten yet, and that's Joker based off the Hush series that he did. And then there's also a 2-pack that has Batman with Green Lantern. Batman kind of clenched down and Green Lantern kind of floating above him when they first met in the Justice League #1 book, when they revamped it. And so those are 3 so far. I know Cyborg's on the team of Justice League, so maybe eventually we're going to get a Cyborg in 2020. Maybe some more villains from Hush in 2020, a Nightwing or Robin, some of these other characters that were in the Hush series, because he's done some characters of them. But I haven't seen any solicitations on that yet, or any promo work. So hopefully we're going to get some more of the Jim Lee collection. They're exclusive at GameStop only, so they're very cool. I will show you our next Comics and Pop video. My son just picked up some new Pops also, and he got a new Batman Who Laughs. He's got a new Agent Venom, which is really cool. You can only order that exclusively from the Funko's online store. Not available in any stores, retail stores. So that was a really cool pop. So I will show that to you. Our next week's video is probably going to be Lego Volume 2. And I will be discussing the new Lego Batman Lego movie called Family Matters that dealt with mostly Red Hood. In that, and then I also picked up a new Batmobile, Lego Batmobile set, and a couple other things I'll talk to you about Legos. We have an upcoming box from Loot Crate. Loot Crate is filed for chapter 11, I guess, and so they're going bankrupt, and we're not really sure. He's got a letter from a lawyer if he wanted to sign up as a class lawsuit against them. And we're not even 100% sure if he's even going to get his last box from Loot Crate. And that had a Jurassic Park dinosaur T-Rex in it. That's why he ordered it. So if that does come in, we will open that box. But in the meantime, there's nothing I really want to order as far as subscription boxes. So in the meantime, we're just mainly going to be doing a volume of Legos, a volume on Comics and Pops, back and forth until a box comes in or something. So that's what we'll be doing in the future. Sorry, it's been almost a half hour, long-winded. I'm so sorry about that. And sorry it's late. It's going to be late Sunday night or Monday by the time you see this. So I will catch you later. Thanks, my friends, for hanging out with me. And for your support. All my friends at school, you know who you are. And so be good to each other. Bye.